I'm Ryan Benson.
I'm Josh Saunders.
I'm Dylan Bud.
We're the PopCulturists, and recently I've decided to go back and retry The Fast and the Furious.
Why?
Well, we got a lovely invite thanks to Universal to go see the new one, Fate of the Furious, at the Melbourne premiere in a couple of weeks. And I was like, I remember I watched these movies many years back. I'd like to go do them again.
Yep.
So, the first 3, 4, they're very much car movies, right? Which, to me, isn't my jam. I don't know much about cars. I know it gets me from A to B.
I don't know if you could pick it, but he's not a fan of cars.
No. It gets me from A to B, and even then I'm not too sure. Like yesterday I was like, oh, fuck, petrol. Yeah. Pretty forgetting that's a very important part. So, and then from the 5th movie onwards, they're now up to Battle Royale number 8. The series took a massive turn. They brought in The Rock. They decided to keep the cars in there, but become a big, bombastic, massive action franchise, right? Mm-hmm. The one that starts from what was a franchise that was plummeting money, became a fucking success in one movie because they were like, let's redo everything that we are within reason.
The interesting with that is, because I don't follow it at all either. The series, I don't remember actually watching any of the movies to this point. But when you told me then, I think in the last trailer, that The Rock caught a missile and just threw it back, I'm like, okay, you've piqued my interest.
See, this is what's so great about it. So like because cars got boring, like 3 movies in, like they're racing differently.
They were doing Triple X as well. Then we had that horrible Death Race movie.
Yeah, that was where they're like, hey.
It's like Mario Kart had to drive over power-ups so their cars could shoot their guns. That's awesome.
We watched that when we were at the RTX.
Yeah,
we're all watching going,
what is
the hell is this dumb
Which
movie?
had Jason Statham in it, who's in Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Ah, it's the new ones,
It's
yeah.
a connected universe.
So they're done it, yeah. So what I want to talk about is what other franchises should get a kick in the butt or a nice little adrenaline shot in the same way that Fast and the Furious did. What's something that needs a resurge of life?
Call of Duty.
Now,
I say... It's hard to say... Like, I say that because that's the general consensus on this. Every year, Call of Duty is the same thing. Oh, look, now it's in space. Or now it's here. Now we've got robots and whatever. But the thing is, the sales are still there.
Declining, but still
Declining, but they're still up there. They're always in the top 3 games sold of the month, every month.
It's number 1, the best-selling game of most years.
Yeah. But it's just... They tried to shift things up. Let's bring it to space. Let's give it exosuits.
They went the big boom
They
bust.
tried to do all of that, and it didn't work because the last few have been the most poor since Advanced Warfare.
Yes.
Or Ghosts.
Potentially Ghosts.
They're all
Ghost
the same.
had the dog, didn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
That's
from
when it
Advanced
started
Warfare,
to lose it.
they've tried to like bring it up. Instead, they've gone the opposite direction. So I think Call of Duty needs to go back to the wars, man.
See, Call of Duty were doing something different at the time when everybody else was making very World War II shooters. That's all that was there. They're like, no, we're going modern. Call of Duty 4 was Modern Warfare. That's when they made their first their first pivot. They were like, nah, that's just something different. They Fast and the Furious themselves to made they made Modern Warfare. And they made Modern Warfare 2. They made Black Ops, which was a pivot again.
Yep.
Not World War II, Vietnam.
Yep.
You know, so it was other cool sort of shit, right? And then they felt the need to constantly bump up and be bigger and better. That's what led them to being in space. Because they're like, well, we need to beat the last one we did, and no one else is doing stuff like this. So,
But I think what made the game so good is because they were based on real-world locations in real wars that had real history that they played on. And you look at what Battlefield did, and they went all the way to World War One. And apparently, when they initially pitched the game, the executives were like, no one knows anything about World War One trench warfare, because World War One was trench warfare, and they're like, that's not fun.
It's very slow moving, very sluggish,
you can't make that
brutal.
fun. And look at Battlefield 1 now. It's been more popular than it's been in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, the last 2 Battlefields weren't that crash.
No, they weren't. But Battlefield 1 is the rage, right?
But the pivot also can go bad in terms of Battlefield, like gets released Battlefield Hardline, essentially cops and robbers the game, and it sucks.
Yeah. But going back to Call of Duty, I'm pretty sure they said or they hinted that the next one will be based back in World War II.
Their exact quote is that they are returning to their roots.
Yeah, which hints at early 1900s wars.
Caveman.
Yeah, like Call of Duty Primal.
Call of Duty Primal.
Dylan, what do you
That'd
think
be
needs a good boot in the butt?
Well, I think the thing that the Fast and Furious movies did is they bumbled their way into a multiverse. So they made the first one, which was like Point Break, but with street racing. Street racing was a big thing back in 2000.
Yeah, and then like we got Need for Speed Underground.
And I'm sure it's
Playing
still a
Cars.
big thing now, so that for our 300 fans that probably don't do street racing,
And drifting.
that it was bigger then.
Yeah.
So they had that. Vin Diesel was up and coming. Then he was like, you know what? I did Triple X, I did Pitch Black. I'm better than this. I don't need Fast and
Pitch
Furious.
Black was amazing. What are you talking about?
I'm saying that's what Vin Diesel got. He got big movies.
But then he did Chronicles of Riddick.
Then we had Too Fast, Too Furious, and they couldn't get Vin Diesel back. So
they
like,
got-
let's do Paul Walker. He's cool.
And who was the
and
guy that did it?
Tyrese was there as
Tyrese,
well.
that's the one.
And so they tried to continue the franchise without their main cast. Then that didn't do so well. So they made Tokyo Drift.
Whole
and
new cast.
Completely changed it. They're like, all right, let's get back to the cars. Drifting's cool. Everyone loves drifting. Big in Japan. Let's do that. And it opened it up to the international market. And everyone's like,
Man,
you know what?
because-
This is huge in Japan.
Yeah, because if you can have a movie go gangbusters in the Asia market, you'll make double your profit.
Exactly. So then Vin Diesel did, like you said, Chronicles of Riddick, other things. He was even too good to do Triple X2. Did The Pacifier, where he was a babysitter. It didn't go so great for Vin Diesel. At the end of Tokyo Drift, he turns up in that end scene, and people went gangbusters, like, we love Vin Diesel, Dominic Toretto. So then he came back and did Fast and Furious, which was meh.
But there was a good solid gap of time between that. It was like
But it was the gang back together.
7 years or something. It was like a
2001
maybe not
was
that
the
long.
first one, I don't know.
It was a
That's
good.
right.
It was a good chunk of change.
So then they had Fast 5, which is the one, like you said, with The Rock. And that one was great. They had, I can't remember the director's name, but he's good.
He's been doing the last handful.
Justin Lin.
Yeah.
Justin Lin came in and he, like, smashed it. Then he did 6, which brought in Luke Evans as the villain. Got even better and crazier, wackier, bigger stunts, more explosions, crazy
Like there's an
shit.
exact moment where Vin Diesel jumps from one car in space, like in open space, catches another person,
Wait,
and then lands on
in outer space.
no,
Just in the upper
in
atmosphere.
vacant space
so
between.
high.
So he's, I think, if my memory serves me right, it's two highways, right? He jumps from his car, someone's falling, he catches them, falls and lands into on top of another car, and they're like, "He's okay, you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm cool." Gets up and fucking shoots dudes. I think.
That's not how physics works.
No.
But the big thing about 5 is it brought in The Rock, which has his own audience, and it also fumbled its way into like, hey, why don't we get Tyrese from Fast and Furious 2, who's Paul Walker's buddy, meet Dom and his buddies, and then bring in this Han character from Tokyo Drift, who's really popular, who died at the end of
Oh,
Tokyo
not Star
Drift.
Wars. Okay.
And bring him into this, and then it worked into some kind of parallel timeline where
But at the same time, the timeline's kind of fucked because in terms of how it works, Tokyo Drift is the last movie. So no matter
I think
how
they've
many
surpassed
movies,
that now.
so no matter how many movies they make, Tokyo Drift should always sit at the end.
Well, I think it's got to, I believe, 7, with the one where Paul Walker had died during shooting. That's where it kind of caught up to that Han moment. You see how he got to, just like, I'm going to Japan now. Probably won't be coming back, maybe.
So, well, speaking of your multiverse and stuff,
Yes.
at the end, you know how they had Paul Walker in a car and Vin Diesel and...
Yes.
Was that the multiverse splitting as they drove onto 2 different roads?
Well, now Dom's gone rogue, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So anyway, the idea is that they brought all these people together and they got into Dubai in Fast and Furious 7, and it's got that international market. They've got like a whole lot of actors from other countries.
I mean, you've done the Asian one, you've done your
You've got your Ludacris, you've got your Tyrese to appeal to that market, you've got The Rock to apply to that market, you've got your sexy Vin Diesel, you got your homebred white boy Paul Walker in there. So you appeal to
And
everybody.
they had Gal Gadot in number 4.
Gal Gadot, you got your Michelle Rodriguez for that tough kind of angry chick.
Who
Audience.
always has a tank top. I've never seen her in anything but a tank top.
So I think something that follows that kind of lead would be like the Mission Impossible movies, where Mission Impossible 1 was like Brian De Palma thriller. Then there was a long gap and they made Mission Impossible 2 and it was like this dumb action movie, John Woo. But Tom Cruise started to do these crazy stunts, like hanging off the rocks at the start, climbing the rocks. Then they did Mission Impossible 3 and J.J. Abrams kind of revitalized it with bringing the team dynamic back. Then they had Ghost Protocol by Brad Bird, and Tom Cruise did that crazy climbing of the Dubai building and then leaping from thing to thing, which he really did.
Yep.
And then they had the most recent one by Christopher McQuarrie, the Jack Reacher guy, who did the Rogue Nation, where he was strapping himself to the plane. So it kind of got 1 was good, 2 was meh, 3 was bringing it back, and then 4 and 5 have really started to kick off. And the most recent Mission Impossible is like the biggest one yet. Like people love it. Critics love it. Audiences love it. So there's one example. I think a couple that could use the boost would be probably Jurassic Park. Like they got Jurassic World now.
Jurassic World gave them that boost.
But I think they need to keep the momentum. They could get a trilogy out of Jurassic World and it could pick up again. Pirates of the Caribbean's one, that the first one was awesome. Second, not so much. Third, definitely not. Fourth, why are we still doing this? Fifth is coming out, but I don't.
The fifth comes down to the sloppy divorce between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and he's got some money he needs to make back.
Exactly. So that's another one. I think Men in Black has potential for a shoot.
Well, the big rumor to bring Men in Black back was to create a joint universe with 21 Jump Street.
That sounds like the best idea ever.
That sounds amazing. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh, hang on.
Yeah, Channing Tatum and Channing Tatum join the Men in Black and just blunder their way through things. It'd be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
Because that Jump Street franchise is so good.
The first one was great.
Yeah,
second one was okay.
I love the second one.
Second one's good.
The My Name is Jeff theme game.
That was
second one.
Yeah.
One of the funniest.
No. My favourite thing is like, oi, leave Korea just alone. He doesn't have time for you. He's busy with Korean shit. Like that. I go.
The bit where in the second one where they're doing the chase and they're like going through buildings, like, oh my god, there's so many expensive things in there. This must be like a huge budget. You can't see what they're doing, and then they go out the building somewhere else.
You know what got me was towards the end when he finds the guy. She's like, "You shot my dick! You shot my dick! Oh man, is that it? Ah!
They're gonna pick it up."
His dick in his mouth.
But like, even though, see, that was the benefit of being self-aware in terms of they're literally in the bigger precinct. They're like, wow, why is it so big? Like, we've got a bigger budget.
Yeah. After the first lot of work we did, we got a big budget. Like, we're doing the same thing. Sounds like the same thing.
It's like, we need you to go to a college, do the same thing you did before.
Yeah. Don't do anything different.
Find the suppliers, find the deal, whatever. Yeah. Do exactly that. People loved it the first time for some reason. Yeah. Do it again. That's how it was really good self-aware writing.
And then Channing Tatum's like, maybe we should be like bodyguard for the president. You know, that'd be a pretty good idea, like White House down.
Yeah.
And Johnny Hill's like, that doesn't sound good. He's like, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think the line is like, you being the bodyguard for the president?
Yeah, he's like, no.
But yeah,
one you mentioned before was Underworld.
Underworld needs a reboot so bad.
Because I think you're the only one in the room that's seen Bloodlines.
Blood Wars.
Blood Wars.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I obviously haven't seen it. Because number one was great.
So good.
At the time. It's a bit lame now. Yeah. But it holds up pretty well. And then 2 was not great. And then 3 was just weird because they went like back to the start.
Because they couldn't get Kate Beckinsale. So it got pushed back. They're like, prequel.
Yeah. And so I know you did a review of Blood Wars. But what did they do wrong?
They're in the same way as like Resident Evil. I guess they're getting too bogged down in this world that they've created, and they can't seem. It's like you can't dig up. It's like all right, we just got to keep going this way because like the lore of Underworld is really quite fascinating. The sort of the rules they've created for this world are really interesting, and the whole idea
more interesting than the vampires be werewolves of the Twilight universe.
100%. So the whole idea was like there's vampires and lichens, but they're all sort of living in the same world as humans. So they're having this war that no one can really see.
Underground war.
It's underground war.
That's why it's called Underworld.
Yeah, and then over time the humans are just gone. Like no one addresses where the humans are gone.
Oh.
If my memory serves me right, I could be totally wrong. But like in the last one, Blood Wars, everyone's either vampire or lichen. There's no real danger in that way. The whole idea is like, man, why we can't get fucking caught. The same way Blade, right? The whole underground, Blade could do a reboot as well. But yeah, Underworld got bogged down in its own shit, and then luckily it doesn't even look like it's going to be the end because the way that Blood Wars ends, it's like just stop, man, do something. But at the same time, I have no idea what they could do to make it better. But Blade would be interesting to see come back.
I haven't seen it.
But it's been way too long. It's like Blade Trinity, as much as I love it, because I love Ryan Reynolds, and had like Dominic Purcell in it as Dracula.
There is talk now of The Matrix getting rebooted.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But see, that would be the same. I think that's the same.
So we're not talking rebooting though. We're talking about continuing the same franchise, just bringing it back.
Giving it that nice boost. Yeah. So apparently an insider came out and said, no, it's not a reboot. It's in the same universe. It's just sort of it's a restart.
But you couldn't.
They're very similar to the
everybody's
Reloaded and
dead
Evolutions.
at the end of.
Yeah.
Neo's dead. Spoilers. Trinity's dead. Spoilers. Morpheus is the only one left, but he was like a whingy little baby by the end of the third.
See, that's another set of movies that got crumbled in by its own world.
Yeah.
Like the first one is so good, it is so deep, and is just philosophically mind blowing,
And it still holds up too.
and it still holds up in the best way. There's other two, not so much.
Yeah.
Makes me sad. What do you reckon? Comment below. Let us know what you think some franchises need a good kick up the butt. I'm Ryan Betson.
I'm Josh Saunders.
I'm Dylan Biden.
It's really tough. Like as I say, it's really tough. Everything's fucking tough for me, apparently.
Sometimes you could use a really good kick up the butt.
I would agree. I would love a new reboot. Can I get like a thinner model? Like, can someone recast me but
You just
thinner?
take me and make me better.
Yeah, just everything about me as a person, but better.